This is a hot proxy conflict unfolding in real time between Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and it's reshaping the region from the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. And for the first time in years, that matters for the Palestinian people. Now, let's take a look at the map on screen. As you can see, let me get out of the way so you can see the full view. Let's start with what is actually happening. The rivalry between Saudi Arabia and the UAE is no longer diplomatic. It's kinetic, it's economic, and it's territorial. And the center of gravity are the ports. And ports means weapons, they mean the flow of customs revenue. Ports mean leverage over, I don't know, shipping lanes, humanitarian access, international legitimacy. And that's why every red dot on this map matters. So take a look at Yemen. Okay, now let's step back here. The Saudi backed forces have directly confronted UAE backed separatist groups. This is not theoretical. Saudi airstrikes have hit areas connected directly to Emirati backed supply lines, including near the port of Mukalla. So now Saudi Arabia is signaling something very specific. The UAE does not get to carve out a parallel empire along Saudi Arabia's southern flank. And this is about reasserting dominance in the region. So the UAE strategy has been to control coastlines through proxies, let's say. Aden, Mukalla, Sokorta. These positions have given influence over Bab al Amud, one of the most critical maritime choke points on earth. Saudi Arabia is now actively disrupting that. So now let's go over and take a look at the Red Sea, and you will see near Sudan, and you look across the Red Sea, and Sudan is not just a civil war that's happening right now. It's a port war. The Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, are the ones that control key gold corridors and internal trade routes. Multiple investigations and reporting documented external support networks tied to the UAE commercial and logistical interests. At the same time, UAE has pursued long-term strategic access near Port Sudan, including proposed port projects north of the city. And Saudi Arabia sees this as an existential threat, to Red Sea dominance. And that is why Sudan has become a pressure point. When Saudi Arabia challenges UAE's influence in Sudan, it's not about Sudanese politics. It's about cutting the supply lines of the rival. So now let's take a look at the shaded blue areas on the map. These are not front lines. They represent reported influence corridors of logistics, proxy forces, commercial access, and arms flow zones tied to UAE aligned networks, including the RSF. These zones are where Saudi Arabia is applying pressure indirectly, financially, militarily, diplomatically. This is what modern regional war looks like. Now, the UAE. You may see claims circulating now about leadership movements inside the UAE. At this point, we don't really have any independent verification that Emirati leadership has fled or relocated, and that matters. What it is verifiable is that the UAE is facing increased regional pushback, direct confrontation with Saudi backed forces. Now, there's a heightened scrutiny over Sudan and the resistance to its port strategy across multiple theaters. Those facts alone indicate strategic stress. You do not need rumors to see this pressure. So now we'll go back out and we'll take a look at where the Palestinians come in. For years and years, normalization insulated Israel from consequences. The UAE provided legitimacy without accountability, trade deals without any sort of political cost, and that insulation deepened on a unified Gulf posture, and that posture appears to be breaking. Saudi Arabia cannot allow the UAE to define regional leadership while ignoring Palestine entirely. Now, Saudi Arabia's claim to legitimacy still runs through the Arab and Muslim world. Palestinians remain central to that legitimacy. That creates leverage, not moral leverage, but strategic leverage. When Saudi Arabia wants to distinguish itself from UAE, it cannot simply offer more weapons or ports. It must offer credibility. That means signaling limits, conditions, visibility around Palestinian rights. Not because Saudi Arabia has changed, but because power competition forces these concessions. This moment does not liberate Palestinians, but it disrupts the architecture that buried them. And disruption creates openings. So, Palestinians do not benefit from empire. They're the only ones there not fighting for an empire, but for survival. They do, however, benefit when empires collide. This rivalry will not bring justice on its own, but it weakens the systems that make injustice permanent. And for the first time in years, Palestine is no longer invisible in regional calculations. So, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button, it helps a lot. Let's stick with fact first, power second, and justice only comes when pressure makes it unavoidable. Thank you.